What's back, people? It's Caden, your boy Caden, with a late night upload this time. And today is the anniversary of TCOD. Yes, it was born on the 9th of December last year, and now it's the 9th of December this year. So, because my motherfucker author is not done yet with 3.75, I was able to bully him enough into releasing a finished prologue. I know I owe you guys so much more, but he hasn't released anything in 6 months. He's a fucking bastard. More than 6 months. Like 8 months. But whatever. Who's counting? Doesn't fucking matter. I'm just pissed off. Alright? I owe you guys so much more, and I thank you guys. Alright? Because I really want to continue this shit, because it's funny as balls. But anyways. The Interlube. Of course, Snoop Dogg will be voicing us. So, yeah. Let's just, check this shit out.
Chronicles of Degeneracy. The Interlude. Charlie awoke one harsh November morning. From her apartment in Chicago, she tuned into the news. The world's near extinction had happened months ago, and the indomitable human spirit had already scattered people back to all continents of the world. Eating breakfast and watching the news, her life forever changed. The world had been untied. Eric Sterber reigned supreme. This was a man who Charlie found to be entirely and utterly loathsome. As she peered out her clouded window, she already saw police cars of the new Sterber regime rolling through the streets. Charlie decided that she had to do something. She would not stand idle as the world fell to a cruel and violent dictator. Now, Charlie did not look like the kind of person who would revel in political violence. She was very skinny and pale, with platinum blonde hair falling to the middle of her back. Charlie was typically a meek woman, although now she couldn't keep to herself. It was time. She saw on Thursday that on Sunday there was to be a parade through the city in celebration of Sterber's rule. Charlie spent the next 3 days getting together weapons and ammunition, along with body armor. She stockpiled all the weaponry she could find in her apartment complex. When the day finally came, floats loitered through the streets. Sterber loyalists waved flags and cheered from the sides of the road as float after float and tank after tank barreled through the city. Charlie stood in a second-floor window. She was clothed in body armor and held an assault rifle in her hands. In her back hung another rifle, and on each hip she kept a handgun. As the majority of the tanks rolled around the block, Charlie opened fire. She sprayed into the floats, peppering them with holes and murdering every driver. When the floats stood still, the drivers of the following floats crashed into the stopped floats. Fire spread out through the streets. And as the Sterber bootlickers fled, Charlie shot them down. Men, women, and children were all mowed down as they fled from the scene of Charlie's massacre. Their faces were locked forever in expressions of pure fear and terror as their blood and brains leaped from their punctured skulls. On the sidewalk below Charlie, the young boy lay gasping on the ground. His throat had been punctured by the shrapnel of one of the crashes, and as he lay there on the asphalt, fighting for every last second of agonized life, Charlie showed him mercy. She aimed straight down and shot him right between the eyes. In a scene of indescribable bloodshed on all the supporters of Sterber, Charlie finally found her smile, and it was pure and bloodstained. As a family crept out from behind a burning parade float, Charlie emptied half a clip into their backs, leaving them twitching and bleeding on the ground. As the violence continued to grow, Sterber police cars pulled up and law enforcement officers stormed the building Charlie was in. As they came up the steps, she peered around the corner and mowed down a whole dozen as they ran up the steps. Nothing could tame the rage she felt for seeing the world fall to Eric Sterber. But their blood on her hands felt like at least a start. Eventually, an officer managed to fire at her, hitting her in the shoulder and causing her to drop her gun. Before she could pull another, they had all set upon her. She was captured. One officer quickly pulled out a rag and slapped it to her face. The smell of chemicals rushed into her body and she quickly passed out. Much later, Charlie regained consciousness. She looked around her, seeing only stone and steel in the prison cell she was confined to. She had been sent to one of Sterber's first detainment camps of enemies of the order. Her hands were chained to the wall, and they hung suspended above her. Her neck was cinched into a noose that was tied to one of the bars. The wound in her shoulder was purposefully stretched out to cause as much pain as possible. She looked down and saw nails and shards of glass rooted in her stomach and chest, and she tried to give a gasp of horror, but couldn't muster the sound, as she then noticed that her jaw was wired shut, it having been broken during her beating.
Fuck.
She was being slowly tortured to death, and by the way it was going, she didn't think they had any intention to administer a mercy killing anytime soon.
Fuck.
And so as the months dragged by, she waited and bled and cried as she was pushed closer to the point of mortality. But through her waiting physical strength, one thing remained as strong as ever.
Exactly.
The hatred for Eric Sterber burned on with
Yeah.
an intensity that consumed her every thought. Every breath that she took in was tinged with this hate and released in fiery clouds of rage, cooling upon their entry from her furious soul, wafting into white in the cold of the dank cell. There she hung and there she waited for an opportunity to break free and continue her life of rebellion against the tyrannical and abhorrent regime of Eric Sterber.
Yeah. Alright. I know that this ain't much, but it'll have to do for right now. Just want to thank you guys so much for everything, for where we are right now. You guys are causing us to fucking upload more shit. Alright? Y'all are awesome. You know, I just wish Aaron would upload more. Alright. Well, we'll see where Charlie is in the next book. Or, well, in the main book, I guess. Well, see y'all. I know it's a short upload, but, you know, ain't much I can fucking do about it. I'm sorry, guys. I'll get him on a leash. Have a good day, y'all. Peace.